Good evening. Good evening. Thank you, Facebook, for joining. How you doing? This is your girl, Anne-Marie, coming to you from Southern California. If you're joining us this evening for Divine Connection, go ahead and give us a shout out in the chats. Let us know where you're joining us from. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Go ahead and share this information out. As I have my featured business today on Divine Connection, I had said in the beginning when I started my talk show that it was going to be a time that we inspire, we empower, and we motivate, right? And we encourage others. And I wanted to feature businesses as well, right? So listen, if you guys have a business and you want to be featured on my show, talk about your services and stuff like that, go ahead and inbox me later after the show or put in the comments that you want to be on the show. And if you have a story, right, a powerful story where God has took you from somewhere, from nothing to something, I want to hear about that as well, you guys. This show is all about inspiring and talking about what God has done from you, right? From your story to His glory, right? And so, you guys, today I have my beautiful friend, Dr. Shullundia Bell. She's a coach, she's a mentor, she's a life coach, she's a prophetess. She's I mean, the list can go on, you guys. I can go on and on about her, right? But today we come here today to feature this business of hers, where it's called Kingdom Financial Group, right? And so, what is Kingdom Financial Group? And today we're here to talk about taxes, preparation, accounting, and credit restoration, and FOREX. And all of those things, guys, have to deal with money, finances, right? Our topic today is about taxes, right? So first of all, let's talk about, because it's tax season. What happens right after the new year starts? We have to do what? We have to prepare our documents from 2020, and we now have to file our taxes. Some of us get money back, some of us don't, right? But today we're going to find out from Dr. Shullundia Bell what are the best things and what we need to do. So first of all, real quick, Dr. Shullundia Bell, why don't you tell them what is Kingdom Financial Group? And then I have a couple questions to ask you.
Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast of Divine Connection tonight. I am so excited that Miss Ann has decided to feature me on her show this evening. Her and I have known each other for many years, and when she asked me to do this for her, I said I would be more than happy to do this because I am super excited to share the knowledge that I have about my financial services with each and every one of you. Now, the Kingdom Financial Group is basically a LLC that I started years ago because I had a love for finance. And so I have a background in finance as well. And so I began to notice that a lot of people needed more information when it came down to finances. So the Kingdom Financial Group is just the head of the organization, but we also house credit restoration, Forex trading, along with tax preparation, tax planning, accounting, and bookkeeping. So all those things fall under the umbrella of the Kingdom Financial Group. So we are very excited to be able to come on tonight to share this awesome information with you to keep you updated.
Awesome, you guys. Okay, so why I'm always going to talk about biblical and what the Word of God says, right? Because that's how we live our lives as believers, right? We take the Word of God, we take the Bible, what He says, and what are instructions, right? So as I was looking and studying for today's message, right, basically the Bible says about paying taxes, right? When Jesus was tested, right, they said to him, Jesus, what do you say? Who do we pay taxes to? I mean, I looked it up and I found a bunch of scriptures, right? Romans, Matthew, Romans and Matthew, all kinds of scriptures talking about where he says we got to give to the government what is due to the government, right? When they tried to, they were trying to trick him, right? And he saw the evil in their hearts when they said, who do we pay taxes to? And he said, go and get that coin. What does it say? And whose image is on it? And it says Caesar. And he said, pay to Caesar what's due to Caesar, right? And so that's the same thing. We have to pay to our taxes to our government, right? We have to be mindful of what the Word of God says, right? But he said, don't take more than you should, or don't, for the people who are collecting the taxes, right? Don't take more than what you should do. Do what lawful, right? Lawfully pay to what Caesar is due to Caesar, pay to give to God what is to God's, right? So we have to pay our taxes and obey the law, what our law and our governments and our authorities, right? Because the Bible commands us, regardless if you like it or not, that we have to obey the authority of our government. And so that falls in the lines of paying our taxes, right? So because we can get into a lot of trouble if we don't pay our taxes. Is that right, Mr. Shullundia?
That is absolutely correct.
So we can get into a lot of trouble with that, right? So we have to do what the Bible says, right? And people say, well, let me say, like in Matthew 22:15-22, he says, the Pharisees said, Jesus, as a tough question, tell us, is it against our law to pay taxes to the Roman emperor or not? Jesus says, why are you trying to trap me? Show me the coin for paying the taxes. They brought him the coin and they asked him this, whose face and name are on these? The emperor's, they answered. So Jesus said to them, well then, pay the emperor what belongs to the emperor and pay to God what belongs to God, right? I mean, and you guys remember even before that, when he walked into the temple and they were all there and they made a marketplace, right, of all his father's house, and he got angry. Why did you turn the house of God into a marketplace, basically, right? And selling this, because it was supposed to be a holy place, a godly place, right? So you guys, when we talk about taxes, it's a subject that most of us, I believe, I know me, don't like to have to deal with it, right? I mean, I'm straight just telling the truth. Sometimes like, oh man, especially if you are business owners, right? We have to take care of that. Okay, so Dr. Bell, for new tax season, new year, okay, we have to pay our taxes for 2020. What are some of the things that somebody will need to prepare to file their return?
The main thing is you would need the basic information. For instance, you would need, it depends on who your preparer is. You would need to show them proof of identity. You need to make sure that, your identity is up to date. Also, your social security information, make sure because they need to verify that you have a valid social security number, that you're not just somebody just decided to come over here and file taxes. Also, you would need any type of 1099s that you may have received. I know this year, because of the COVID situation, don't forget to file your 1099 for your unemployment benefits. Do not forget to file that. A lot of people don't know they have to file those. But yes, that was income. So if you received any type of income, period, you have to file that on your taxes, whether it was unemployment, whether it was a W-2 that you received from your job, whether it was a contractor income, like you was a contractor for someone, like I said, if you had a small business and you was contracted out for something, you have to file all those extensive incomes, as well as any type of virtual currencies, like myself, as I'm a trader. And I know many of you out there might be a FOREX trader or binary or whatever kind of trader you may be. You have to file those wins and losses on your taxes. So some brokers may have readily available for you the income information, but if not, there is some form of back office that you should be able to go in and download that information to see what all you made that year, as well as what all losses you may have had for that year. But all of that has to be reported to the IRS.
That's pretty good. So has the IRS already got completed, updated forms already for the 2021?
Yes, they have completed the forms. They've been in session about so many things with everything that's going on today, everything with the riots and everything. But they did manage to complete the forms, but they had not released a date so far that I know of. I checked the website before I came on to make sure. I hadn't seen a date that they're going to start e-filing yet. But you can still prepare your taxes. Of course, there's no need. Everyone can still go out. If you have a preparer, you can still go out and you can prepare your taxes, okay? Also, I want to discuss that a lot of times, like it's just the beginning of the year, so you still have plenty of time to get everything did and taken care of. I like to let my customers know that start planning the previous year before it's time for your taxes is to be due. I know a lot of times, like I do tax planning with a lot of clients because when they come to me when it's time for tax preparation, everything is already in order, unless they're coming from somewhere else. But most of my clients, they already know to have everything prepared because we've already did a planning session before the year was over to bring them into the new year. So when 2021 hit, all my clients are already readily available to go ahead and give me the information, or I may already have it on file because I've already prepared them for the current year. So I want to go over some things that you, as far as the softwares that may be available for you, because a lot of people don't know that the easier you can make tax planning and tax preparation easy for yourself as well as your preparer. One of the main tools, which is an app as well that you can use, is called Taxbot. I love Taxbot. Why? because I can scan all the information directly into all my receipts because I'm a receipt. Some people don't like to keep receipts, but when you start paying the IRS enough money, you will start keeping up with those receipts. So,
See, I need every tax write-off I can get.
so I mean, and that's great now. So like I tell my clients, keep up with those receipts, and all the time, like I've had like new clients to come to me and they keep them in a shoebox, right? They have them in a bag. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, yeah. And it's like, that's a lot of, to me, that's a lot of accounting. Bookkeeping that was like kind of brushed under the table because they didn't want to deal with it, which I don't mind. I have no problem with taking care of that. But of course, there would be an extra preparation fee because there's extensive work that I have to go back and do for you. But that's why I always like to let my clients know there are so many different softwares, QuickBooks, Intuit Quick, and there's so many different things out there to help you stay organized. So not only will you have a great tax season, but your preparer will have a great tax season as well. So I just wanted to make sure I share that information. There are so many different programs out there that can keep you prepared and keep you organized before the tax seasons even before it even begins.
Okay, so you said something that you schedule a preparation for them the year before. So what's a good time frame? Like obviously we're in January, we're just starting, right? But like if somebody was watching this today and they said, "Man, I was really unorganized for 2020. I'm still trying to gather all my information." And obviously companies, if you work for any network marketing companies, they're still mailing out 1099s and they have until the end of January to do that. So that's good as well. But for somebody who's watching this and says, "I want to be more prepared for next year," what time frame is it? Like they get prepared now, or is it like the middle of the year, or how I guess I just want to say what time frame is good for preparing for the next year?
Okay, got you. So what I usually do tell my clients is that from January to April, May, because tax season normally ends April the 15th, normally every year. No, this past year we had some little ups and downs due to COVID or what have you. But normally it's around April 15th. That's the standard end of tax season time. But then after that, I would say give it an extra 30 days because you will always have some people that come in at the end, they're still trying to file their taxes after April, right? I said every year never fails. And so I would say to start the planning process, you start the planning process the beginning of the year. January 1, because guess what? That's the beginning of the tax season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So start planning January 1. Like now, what is today? It's January the 12th, right? So as of now, some of you may not have begun this process yet, which is okay. You can still go and try to find those programs like Taxbot, Quick, and QuickBooks. There are other programs available as well. And I'll put my link at the bottom of this live so you would know to send me your information, and then I can reach out to you and I can do a one-on-one consultation with you as well. And it's a free consultation. So to make sure you get everything set up correctly for the year. But you'll start off with January the 1st, start putting your things in order, starting now for next year. Okay. So, but the tax planning season actually really kicks off and bloom after tax season ends, which is April the 15th. So around June 1st is when it really kicks off as far as the planning season for me, from June to December. That's when people start vacationing. They're trying to do everything they need to do. And then by December, it's like everything kind of wind down and everybody spend everything they done spend for the year. Everybody spent all the Christmas money. So now everybody money funny. So now I need to start getting ready for this tax season, right? So that's when basically that's my tax season for the planning phase. It really begins January the 1st. But most of the time, most of my clients, they don't start looking at it until June to December. That's when they start organizing all their documents. Because remember, if you're doing everything you need to do from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, it's going to be so much easier for you. You're not going to have to do as much as you would try to do. Like we try to beat that April the 15th run. We rip the run trying to find every receipt. I went on this trip and I went over here and where my airline ticket, and we just ripping and running, just running crazy because we didn't prepare. And it happens to most of us. It happens all the time. I definitely understand that. But I try to educate everyone or my clients on trying to start it a little bit at a time, even if it's just with your receipts. Start uploading your receipts into some type of bookkeeping program, some type of tax saving program. Whereas when it came down to the end of the year, you got everything organized. You good to go.
Right.
You good to go. The only thing you got to do now is make sure everything is in place, everything is in the right category, and I also help them, organize that when it comes down to the tax planning phase. Because, like I tell people, tax planning is actually more important than tax prep. Why you say that? I say that because there are so many things you could be eligible for in the planning process. You never knew you could have been eligible for. Whereas now you can be planning that for the whole year, compared to you trying to wait now. April the 15th, you pushing and you hadn't did any kind of planning. There are things that you didn't even prepare or save. You didn't know that you could have saved them, right? You didn't know those things was on the table for write-ups for you because you didn't have that type of consultation with your preparer. So I like to make sure they're prepared and they get everything that's due to them.
What do you mean? You said something about you want to make sure that they're eligible. So what do you mean by that in a sense, to eligible for programs that maybe can save them, or what are you talking about? So
You're eligible for certain write-offs. No, there are so many
write-offs.
Right. Yeah, there are so many write-offs. And there are a lot of things that you may be eligible for if you go ahead and prepare for them, planning for them now, then compared to April the 15th come, and it's like you have no back history of saving anything. Like you could have really saved more if been more prepared, if you would have like actually had some type of tax planning consultation, whereas you would have known before time what you needed to save for.
That's okay. That's good. That makes sense now. Okay. So here's the big question. Obviously, 2020 was, we're in COVID, we're in the pandemic, people are unemployed. Good thing you said to make sure that they have those documents for unemployment. But now, people receive stimulus checks. Does that have to be filed, or what's the status on that?
Yes, you will get all of that from the IRS. They already have that. They already have your information on that. So they already know who all they have given checks to. So they already know that, right? But as far as those, there are a lot of people that may have not gotten their checks yet. Even with the first run, remember the first stimulus check we got back last year? A lot of people may not have gotten that check back then. They can file for that on this year's tax return. So
even if they didn't get a check?
Yes, if they didn't get a check and they're eligible for a check, they can file for that check on this year's tax return. That was for the one where we got last year, right? That was the one where you got $1,200 per adult and $2,400 if you're married, and I think it may have been $500 per dependent per child that was eligible. Yes, that check. So if you didn't get that, or if you got less than the amount that you should have gotten, you can file that on this year's tax return. So remember that.
I got less. It was weird. I should have gotten the married plus a child, and I got like $400 or $500 less or something like that. So that's actually good to know.
Yeah, you can file that difference on this year's tax return.
Yes, Lord. All right.
Also, for those this year that got the one that just started dropping now, to say if you most of the time, I don't know, but most of the time when people they tend to wait till the last minute, to file their taxes. But if not, it's like even then, like I said, if time has gone by and you still have not gotten this year's stimulus, you can file this year's stimulus on your return as well, and you'll get that. But remember, because I know a lot of people are going to do this. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. You do not want to mess with the triple letter, with the IRS. You do not want to mess with them, okay? If you got a return, if you got a stimulus, do not file that you did not get a stimulus.
Right.
I know a lot of people are going to try to do it.
They're
going to try to do it, and they're going to get caught.
Double dipping.
They know that they gave you a check. Okay. So do not go and say you did not get a check. Because what they're going to do, they have checks and balances. Like they became more stricter with the dependents, because a lot of people's carrying other people's kids or what have you. So every year they begin to get stricter and more stricter, right? So now it's like red flags automatically pop up. So a lot of times people's returns are stalled because they're verifying your dependent information, make sure that you are the one. And also, when they have let previous people carry their dependents like numerous times, you got different people carrying different, the same child. That's another red flag. So if you can keep the same dependents that you've been carrying, because that's a red flag. When you change your dependent, that's an automatic. They're going to check into. They're going to make sure that is, especially if it's of age. They're going to check like, okay, why you didn't file them last year? So what was they've gotten stricter. I mean, they used to be really lax back in the day, because I've been doing taxes over 20 years. They've gotten really lax. They used to be really lax. Now they've gotten a whole lot stricter because people always try to come up with some game. So never fail. This is how we do. We always try to come up with a game, think we're going to get over. Then you end up getting that big white envelope in the mail, and sometimes it's certified. You have to sign for it, and they did an audit. You don't want to do an audit, because once the audit was just, and you have to pay them, you're on their list for, I think it's 3 years. So you want to try to stay clear of that. Do what you're supposed to do. Do your part and just do it right. With the stimulus, only file it if you did not get it and you was eligible for it for both years, last year and this past one. And also for your dependents, make sure you try to keep the same dependent, because I see it all the time where people get audited when they change dependents. For some reasons, like they just they automatically check. And remember, if they gave you a stimulus this year, they know they gave you a stimulus. So if you got one, if you say you didn't get one and you filed that saying you didn't get one and you want to get that money, that's going to hold your return. And you know, it's already been held up now already due to the EIC, you know, your earned income credit. They're already holding also for the child tax credit. That's all because I know, I think the last time I checked the website, it was saying that's going to be like mid-February before they release funds for that. So if you have a dependent and you file your taxes, that does not come as quick as, you know, your regular return. Like if you didn't have a dependent or anything on, like normally it's within up to 21 days. But they have to check now because, you know, we try to outsmart them. So so now they're really being tedious on verifying your dependent information. Sometimes people don't get their return to after tax season's over. It'll be the fall before they get their return. Why? Because they're verifying that information.
Right, you guys do not want to try to, you know, I call it double dipping, but basically try to do one over on them, because let's look at what the Word of God says, right? So in Romans 13:1, it says, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities." So that's the IRS, the tax authorities, right? There is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God, right? And then in Romans 13:5-7, I like how it says, "Therefore one," which is us, "must be in subjection, not only to avoid God's wrath, but also for the sake of the conscience," right? "For because of this, you are also paying your taxes. For the authorities are ministers of God, attending to this very thing. Pay to all what is owed to them, taxes to whom taxes are owed, revenue to whom revenue is owed, respect to whom respect is owed, honor to whom is honor is owed." You guys, he has this in the Word of God for a reason, because he knew we have to pay taxes, right? And back in the day, right, when in the Word of God, you know, they frowned on the tax collectors, right? And we kind of like on the IRS. Oh man, you know, they frowned on them. But look, at even in the Word of God, the tax collectors came and got baptized, and even then they're like, "What do we do?" And it's like, baptize them. God's like, baptize them, right? Because there was people who were like, "Why is Jesus hanging out with sinners? Why is he hanging out with prostitutes? Why is he hanging out with the tax collectors?" Right? Because, you know, but look at, one of them became one of his disciples. So we have to do what God is calling us to do, right? Okay, so let's see. How long will it take for somebody to get their refund right now?
It's up to 21 days is normally the time frame the bank tell us to say, because with everything going on now, it could fluctuate, but normally it's up to 21 days. And I say that loosely because remember, with everything that's going on in the White House and the Capitol and everything going on now, it may take a little long. So don't go and beat the tax preparer door down. Don't be patient, because there is so much that's different on this year's tax return with the stimulus and everything else that's forth. You know, with the bills and stuff, that, you know, also people filing the EIDLs and the PPPs and all that. So there's so many more revenues they have to pay attention to this year. So don't go and beat your tax preparer door down when they say 21 days and it may not come until the 22nd day, you know, because it's like, you just have to just be patient, because I know every year there's something always come up where something might stall it or whatever, but we just have to be patient and just don't go and cuss the people out and just go in on them, because, you know, I've seen that people just cut up when it comes down to tax season. They want their money, you know. So we just have to be really patient with our preparers, and then the preparers have to be really patient with the IRS, because there's so much we can do. Once we submit it over to the banks, then the banks submit it to the IRS. You know, that's all. It's like it's a waiting game. It's a waiting game from there. But they do have phone numbers and websites that you can go to and you can verify and check on your return.
Okay, so I see a lot of flyers going around. Obviously, we have a lot of people. I actually know about I have 4 friends actually that all have tax businesses. They're all in the financial business right now. So some of them, I've seen flyers going around where they're saying they get like a $6,000 cash advance. Or I see something like $5,000 something of one child. What is that?
Yeah, that's the earned income credit. So that's what you need. Like that's like basically that's a loan. That's a loan from the bank until your return is actually sent to you, basically. So when you see those type of funds, they may put it on a check, they may send it on a card, like the green money card, or you may even do direct deposit, however you want to receive it. But that's basically a loan of your return until you receive your return, basically. So what happens is when you get your return, they take that money out of your return.
So what if somebody got a $6,000 credit, cash advance, and then they didn't actually get that much to return back? What happens then?
They're going to owe that back to the bank because that's actually a loan from the bank.
That's actually good. No, I just thought that maybe because they qualified it that they got $6,000 cash advance, because you see those flyers all around, right? I see them. I have, like I said, I have a bunch of friends that are all doing taxes right now this season, and I'll be featuring different people, because I want to bless people's businesses, right, and connect them. But I was curious, like, how does somebody get $6,000 cash advance? And I just thought that maybe they qualified. Did not know
they qualify based on their tax return. So just like sometimes people may have like 2 or 3 dependents on their return and they're younger, so they qualify for a lot of earned income credit. They qualify for a lot of taxable credit. So that all blends in with your return, with your refund amount. So if they're eligible to receive that on their return, it's basically that's why they call it cash advance. You get an advance on your return.
Got it.
If you're doing it, then you still have to take it out your return. But if something just happened to fluke at the end, you would still pay that money. Yeah, you would still have to pay that.
We have a question from Brenda. Brenda wants to know, what if I didn't get the first stimulus check, but I filed it like you said, and then the tax preparer says if I didn't get it, there's no need to file it. What happens? What are my options? Okay, how did you file it before? Did you file it on last year's tax return? Is what you're saying? Or are you trying to file on this year's tax return? Because let me read it again. What if I didn't get the first stimulus check but file? Oh, like she's saying if she didn't get her check from last year, but she went and filed like she did. Right.
Okay, and then now if that's what she's saying, I'm gonna answer that both ways because I want to make sure I answer correctly. The first way would be if you filed it, we didn't get it to after tax season was over unless you file your tax after the time. And if you did, you can go back and do an amendment to their return. So you can amend your last year's return. But what they're doing is like when you file this year, the only thing you have to do, if you never got that on your last return, you can just, when you file this year's, just make sure you let your preparer know that you never did get it and that you need to file it on this year. Because what's going to happen, they're going to investigate it. The IRS is going to check. They're going to see, and if they don't give it to you this time, you will need to contact them directly to find out, because something could have happened with the mail or direct deposit. Something could have happened whereas they may have sent it and you didn't receive it. So be careful this year. Just make sure when you file this year, if you've never gotten it, put it on this year's return. And then if you don't hear anything this year to say, if you still don't get it this year, then I will contact them directly to find out what happened, because something happened somewhere whereas there was a miscommunication, whereas either they sent it and you didn't receive it through whatever means they may have sent it from, or something could have happened. But I would definitely file it this year if you didn't get it last year.
Awesome. Good. Okay, so last year you said, and we all know this, that the cutoff last year was April 17th, but because of COVID, they did a bunch of extensions. So what is the deadline this year for tax returns?
It's April the 15th, but of course that could change. Remember, the same thing happened last year. It was one time, so just keep your ears open. You can always keep yourself updated as well by going to irs.gov. Okay, and that's a very credible website. That's the IRS website. So if you go to irs.gov, I'm quite sure they'll have all the updated information that you need. And then and then you're gonna hear it on the news too, because it's gonna spread like wildfire. They're gonna be like, okay, the tax season has been extended to such and such date. So they're definitely extended if need be. It depends on how, we in this situation with this new normal with this world now. So we just never know how things, but the original date is set for April 15th. Also, I want to mention this for small businesses because I see this happening a lot. If you are trying to buy a house and you have a business and you have to file your taxes, file them. I want to make sure I word it correctly. Don't cheat yourself out what you owe the IRS. Okay, I'm gonna say it like that, because a lot of times we try to go the easy way out when we file our taxes, but we don't want to pay. We don't want to pay taxes, which no one really want to pay, right? But you got to think about this. They have the system set up on purpose. Okay, so if you decide to try to say, well, I don't want to pay back I don't want to pay back nothing. And you do all these great write-offs, right? But you end up showing your money that you made for the year was only $2,000. Okay. Now you do not qualify for a house. Why? Because it's showing you only made $2,000 for that year. See, you have to be very careful because we are quick to say, well, I'm not going to pay taxes and I don't want to. So you have to be careful if there's something in your plan, because we've been doing our goals and our plans for 2021. So if that's in your plan for this year or for next year to buy a house, make sure you file your taxes properly. Make sure you don't try to beat yourself is what you're doing, because when you go to a mortgage to try to get a mortgage with a mortgage broker, they're going to go by how much you made for the year, right? And it's on your 1040, it's on your schedule C, whatever your business may have been, whatever you may have filed. That income is being reported to the IRS, right? So when they ask for a copy of your return and it show you own a profit of $2,000, that does not look good as far as you trying to purchase a house. So it's better the more that you're saying you may owe more in taxes. But you got to think of the long run. What am I actually trying to do? What are my goals? My goal is to purchase a home this year. And if I do it like I've been doing it, whereas it's only showing that I made $2,000 this year, that is not going to qualify me to make a purchase for a new home.
Right. Okay, so now with the COVID and pandemic season and stuff like that we've been in for you guys almost a year, it's been horrific. But there's a lot of programs out there. So what about the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program? What is that, and what are the qualifications, I guess, for somebody to apply for that? So talk about the PPP and what is that for?
Okay. That's if you had employees. Okay, so and remember this, you were an employee in your business. So with the PPP and the EIDL, those are two very, very great programs. If you did not qualify or you did not file last year when they was doing it, because remember they have a deadline as well, so you have to be quick. Now they just started this process. The banks, the government actually released the funds to the SBA, so they started releasing everything for the banks to start preparing on yesterday, Monday and Tuesday, and today. So tomorrow you should be able to go on any website, the SBA government website, and find out how can you apply, because the money is there now. It is limited. The government awarded $40 billion, 20 for the targeted group, and also $20 billion for the emergency group. And I'm gonna break that down. I have my notes here. So you qualify for the EIDL grant up to $10,000. Okay.
Guys, that's the economic injury disaster loan. And SBA is called for Small Business Association. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so that people basically, are these programs only for businesses then?
Yeah, that's what it's set up for. They're set up for. It's like, that's why I tell people, business, everyone should have a business, because under the Trump administration, that's how everything was set up to benefit businesses. So while he was releasing these funds, and now they're still continuing to release these different grants and monies that's readily available to us, take advantage. If you have a business, a legitimate business, I'm not saying that's another thing we mess up in. We go and make up stuff. You need to make sure that you have a legitimate business. You can prove that you have a legitimate business to qualify for this grant. Now, the EIDL, you qualify for that grant up to $10,000 based on if you're in a targeted audience. A targeted area, which means they're going I think it's 80% low income ratio. So go on the website, the SBA website, they're going to really break it down for you. But they have, if you have 300, also, let me go back over. You qualify for the targeted audience, targeted group, if you're less than 300 employees, in which most of us are. You small business, you have less than 300 employees. And also if you're in the low income community. So that's how you qualify up to $10,000. Okay, up to. But they also have the emergency EIDL grant money, where some of you may apply last year for it. And if you applied last year, I think they was paying you per employee, which I think it was $1,000 per employee. With that, you may qualify for more this year. They give you the opportunity to get the additional, but that's more impacting. Is expecting you have different rules to go around for that. Now, for the for the targeted is $20 billion, and also for the emergency is $20 billion. So they lumped it all together to be $40 billion, right? So remember, you got the targeted, you have to have under 300 employees, and you need to be in a low income area to qualify for the up to 10,000. Okay, and you need to have a legitimate business, and you can do that on the SBA website. Also, with the PPL, remember the PPP. Remember with that, you can qualify for that as well. Even if you qualified last year, you can go back. They call it the second round. You can go back and do a second round. So your banker or your the SBA or whoever you may have to assist you. Now, some of you all, because you may not have kept great records last year when all this was going on, you may need some assistance. You may need some help. And that's where my agency do come in there. We come in and help you compile all your paperwork to make sure you have a legitimate case to claim before then when you get ready to file that application. So we do help you with filing for the EIDL and the PPP as well. So remember that. So a lot of you may have questions. Also, I will drop my link in this group as well for you to contact me if you have any questions, because I know a lot, we're going to 35. Yeah, a lot of these, you may have a lot of questions that you may not be able to answer. Right now, because like a lot of times you're not going to think about it until you get off the live. You'll be like, man, I should have asked this. If you do,
I know I have a bunch of questions already in my
head. Because your mind gets to rolling after you get off, you'll be like, wow, I should have asked this. So just in case if you have some questions, I do the consultations for you. So you'll be able to reach out to me. I do have a link. It's bit.ly /Kingdom Financial. So if you go, it's bit.ly /Kingdom Financial. So if you go. Okay, thank you. So if you go to that link, it's just an informational page for me to get your information. So I'll be able to reach back out to you and be able to help you and then do that consultation. Because I know a lot of small businesses qualify, but a lot of you don't know what to do. Okay, so we'll be more than happy to assist you with that if you need help with filling out for that PPP and the EIDL. We're more than happy to help you with that. And don't forget, also, if you qualify for a small business, period, just make sure you qualify. I mean, they can't do them, but just say yes or no.
Well, okay, I have some questions about that, Dr. Shullundia. For example, my Corral Designs business, I'm self-employed, but I'm only me. I'm only my own employee. I don't have any other employees. And I remember last year when I applied for the PPP, I didn't qualify. So what are the qualifications, or what are they going off of? Because I'm my own and I didn't have any employees to pay out, because aren't these?
But did you put how many employees did you put you had?
I think I put just me. Because
did you put 0, or did you just put 1?
I think I put 1.
Okay.
Well, me as the employee. So okay. So for somebody who's an independent contractor like me, I have my own business. I basically, I'm a small family business, so I run myself. I don't have any employees except for this past year. I did hire my son, so now I can put like 2, right? I hired him. And I'm actually paying him out as my assistant. But when I applied for this, it was just me. So for somebody like me who's a small business, 1 employee, what was the, and I didn't qualify, I got denied. What's the advice to somebody like that? I mean, I don't know what the criteria was for, getting denied or what at that time.
Say it just depends on the bank, because I pretty much qualified a lot of people last year for this. And some of them, it depends on who we went through to do the initial processing. Some banks denied, then they went through a different bank and got approved. So it just depends on their criteria for that particular. Some banks are more, stricter than others. Even though the SBA have their regulation and rules, some banks actually, they're going to deny you. They're going to deny you just because though it didn't meet their criteria. Because I know I went to some places locally and they denied people. But when I did some things, when I applied through other agencies online that I knew of, they got approved.
Wow. Okay.
It was the same information. So I would say apply more than one place. If you get denied, make sure find out the reason for your denial. I don't know if they told you your reason for your denial or not, but if you can your denial, then it might be something that you may can fix like quick or what have you. And that's why I say it's good to go through someone that actually can help you prepare it and make sure when you release your case to them, it's an automatic approval.
Okay, awesome. So real quick, because I know we're going already to 40 minutes almost. So real quick about, you guys are business owners out there. I'm business owners. She mentioned 2 programs, Taxbot, which I'm going to check that one out, but I do use QuickBooks for me. So for you guys, accounting is very important to keep record. Like she said, just touch quickly on that, Dr. Bell, why accounting is important for them.
Because with the bookkeeping process, You need to keep great books. You need to keep most people, because it's a certain way accountants think. There's a certain way a bookkeeper think when it comes down to savings and
Right.
organizing. So we know how to make sure that everything you need is in place, and then we help you organize that information and make sure you have it available when it's time for you to prepare your taxes. Like, even if, to say, like, if you're traveling, the traveling expenses, you allocate a certain amount for travel expenses. Now, you wouldn't know that unless you did your research on that, right? So also, with like paying your child, there's an additional tax credit that people don't know, for you can hire your child to work in your business. See, that's another tax savings. So it's so many things that having a bookkeeper or an accountant that can help you prepare all that information to make your road to make your path clearer and to make it quicker for you and easier, so you won't be stressed. Because a lot of people during this time of year, a lot of people get stressed. They get
Right.
really stressed
Oh my
because
gosh.
they're pulling their hair out. They're like, I don't want to pay the IRS all this money this year, and they just get distraught. And it's just like,
It
it
is.
does not have to be that way. If you can work with someone throughout the year, that's why I tell people tax planning is very important before you get to the preparation phase. If you can work with someone throughout the year, I promise you, when it comes down to you actually preparing your return, it's going to be a whole lot easier and more simpler when you can actually do the homework before it's time for you to file it.
Right. No, that's good. Okay, you guys. So she made some key points, right? You want to pay your taxes. You want to make sure not to cut yourself short, especially if you're trying to buy a home. She said something about that, right? If you're
Right.
looking, I know that's one of my goals is to buy a home. We owned a home back in 2005, but we lost everything and stuff like that. And so I'm had to build my credit back up, right? And I'm still working on that because now my goal is to buy a house. So the next thing she has is credit restoration, right? So talk a little bit about what you offer for that, because obviously you're getting your taxes in order, you're keeping your books in order, you have a goal now, you want to buy a house, you got to have your credit in order, right? So talk a little bit about what it is you do for your credit restoration.
Yes, what we do is I basically do a credit audit for each customer. So with the credit audit, what I do is I'll pull your reports, all three of them, because remember, you got three different credit bureaus. You got TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, right? And 9 times out of 10, they are not going to report the same thing. You're going to look at all three of your reports, and all three of them are going to be different. So what I suggest is to pull it. Everybody, you need to pull your report, if not once a month, once a quarter, because there are things that may show up on your report you don't even know that's there. So be mindful to please check. And a lot of times people are like, well, I'm already busted. My credit is already busted. you know, I'm just saying that's the term that I hear all the time. Well, my credit got already busted.
I'm dead.
They say it's already busted. So there are ways that we can help you get that organized and get those scores up. But we start off by doing a credit analysis. And I do those because a lot of times the education part of it is so detrimental, whereas you learn a whole lot. Whereas once you have that analysis done, you ain't gonna mess up, because you're gonna find out exactly the main things you're gonna need to make sure your credit stay where it needs to be. Like the late payments and all that. You do not want to be late. If you're late, 1 30-day late can bring your score down 30 to 50 points. Wow. You know how many? And imagine if you're more than 30 days late, you're 60 days late, you're 90 days late. And you wonder why the score is like 400, 500. It's going to continue to decrease, So also with like the paying your debt to income ratio.
Right.
That's like those two, your late payments, like paying on time, and your debt to income ratio. Those two things are 65% of your score. One is 30 and one is 35. That's 65% of your score. If you can pay on time and keep your debt to income ratio, most people say 30%, but I say 10%. If you can keep your credit scores down to 10% below what your credit limit is, you can see a tremendous increase in your score automatically. And that's that debt to income ratio and that paying on time. Those two things are 65% of your credit score. And a lot of people also don't know that whenever you apply for something, that's an inquiry. That knocks your score down as well. So you go to this car. Let me tell you now about the car dealerships. I had to sit down and have a consultation with them before, because I was just so distraught how they get us at these car dealerships because we just don't know any better, right? And they do it purposely. If you don't know, you just don't know. And that's how we get got. We go buy a brand new vehicle and we think we rolling and scrolling and we paying 25% interest. That's not good. You done paid for that car 3 or 4 times.
Come on. That's true.
Because we got us a car, we rolling and we like, okay, we profile and we looking good, but you done paid for their car. Everybody in your house could have gotten the car. When it comes down, and then now they're financing them in 6 and 7 years. It's just like you buying a house now when you're buying a car. I'm like, wow. So you get all this interest on top of what you're paying for the vehicle. So just being educated, and that's what I do with my credit analysis. I educate my clients. I make sure they know the whole profile situation if they have a vehicle. Find out how can we refinance that vehicle once we get your credit where it need. Once we get your credit where it need to be, because we want to try to keep as much income in your household as possible. Remember, pay on time, no 30-day late if possible. If you can help yourself, no 30-day late, and also keep your debt to income ratio below 10% if possible. That's going to help your score go up tremendously. So I like to make sure I let everybody know that starting off with my consultation. It's a little bit more that goes into that. But when you do a consultation, I just go over the whole spiel with you. But I know we're pushing for time right now, so I can't go into everything. But that's the bulk of it. It's like basically, if you can do those 2 things, that's 65% of your credit. You can do a lot from that, and you can actually qualify for those things you want to qualify for. And the car dealerships won't have to run your credit 20,000 times trying to find somebody to finance you. Then you go look at your report. You got 40 because what they do is they cash you out to different people. If one person don't qualify you, then they go and they throw you across the board to so many different people. And then you go look at your report. You got all these inquiries on your report. Now, the credit bureau do feel a little sympathy for you because they see when you're shopping. Okay, so it don't weigh as much, but the thing is, you need to do it within a 24 to 48-hour time frame when you're shopping. Because when they see you shopping, they're going to compile and they're going to see, oh, she's shopping for a car. Oh, she's shopping for a house. But that time frame is very limited. So you can't go this week and then you want to go the next week and then you go the next week, and all these weeks are added up with all these inquiries, and then your score has just dropped tremendously. So all that paid. So when you're going, especially if you're going to buy, I know this tax season, people got the list stimulus and they want to go out and they want to go shut it down. I understand y'all want to go shut it down, but don't let them get you. Don't let them get you with them high interest rates. Take your time, do your homework. Take your time and do your homework, and do not let them run your credit numerous times. First of all, once you know where you stand your credit, then you go to the dealership. Because see, you need to know where you stand. Most of the times, we don't even know where we stand when we go to. We like, just throw it out there. This is my number, 548-238-7724. We just throw it out there, right? We just throw it just happily, right? That's not a real number. That's something I made up. Hope that nobody knows.
No, because you can go to the car dealership and get that 25% interest rate, but if you had good credit, you can go get that 1, 2, 3% interest rate. Right?
It's a big difference in your car note. Yeah, it's a big difference in your car note, and you say it's a lot in the long run.
Right. Why pay 3-4 times over what you're going to pay for the car? Now, I know like when we had, hit the economy had crashed in 2008, 2009, we had, a lot of bankruptcy. A lot of people did. We lost our homes and everything like that. We had to get into a high interest rate. Now, there's exceptions, guys, but if you avoid it at all costs, like we had to get into that so that we can build our credit again, right? Now, like the car that I drive now, I think we only pay like 3% interest on.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, why? I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe when we finally were able to get into a car with the low interest versus having to pay that 16, 18, 25% interest. You guys, you don't realize how much more you're paying. So if you're paying, $15,000 for a used car, and most of the times when you have bad credit at that high interest, you're only getting used cars. Right? You can't even get a brand new car sometimes, right? And so you're paying 4 or 5 times more than the amount, because by the time you're done, that car, which was 15, is now 50,000.
Right. You pay for a brand new car by the time you get through that interest. You really have. And I hate that happens to a lot of people. When I see that, when I do the credit analysis and I see how much they actually paying for their vehicle, it really hurts my heart, because they really just don't know any better. They really don't. They don't know any better. And that's why the education factor of anything I do is very, very important, because if we don't know, we don't know. We really don't know. And then the other people on the other side of the table is looking forward to you not knowing.
Right. Right. Okay. So we have a question from Brenda real quick. She says, but how would we know if somebody keeps running our credit?
Pull your credit often. It don't count against you when you pull your report. You can go to creditkarma.com. It's free. You can go freecreditreport.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's free. You can go to those pages, freecreditreport.com. And if they know that you've been, like, if you try to apply for something and you've been denied, they will send you all 3 of your credit reports free. Now, Credit Karma only have 2, but you will know even from that 2 if somebody been running your report or not. So go this evening, if you have not, go to Credit Karma, set up some type of account. With me, I use a different type of agency because I want to look at your FICO score. With most of those companies, like Credit Karma, is like they go off the Advantage score, which is a different score. It's like it's a little bit different than what the FICO score is. But that's a whole nother, that's a little something different for another time. We do consultations. But
how about programs like, okay, for example, I have credit cards, and most people have credit cards, but like I have Capital One that offers me free credit. I don't think it's a credit report, but I can see my credit score and I can see. Is that kind of good too for somebody too, or no?
I don't know. It depends on who they're using. So you would have to contact that credit card company and see who are they using to give you their report. Experian is a good one that has FICO scores. So they have a lot of them out there that do. In most credit card companies, they may use Experian. I know a few that I have, they use Experian. So that's a legitimate FICO score. That's okay. But some of them use Advantage scores, and that is not the score that, like, if you was to go buy a mortgage or something, they're not going to go off that. They're going to go off the FICO.
Got it. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. You guys, I hope you gained a lot of information about taxes, being prepared, accounting, credit, even the government programs that are available in the stimulus, and when to file your taxes. I want to thank Dr. Shullundia Bell for joining me today on my first segment today where I featured a business. Like I said, you guys, if you have a business out there and you want to feature your services, and tell people just exactly like what Dr. Shullundia did, go ahead and inbox me and we'll get you scheduled for a show, because that's what this whole show is about, divine connection, because God gave me the calling and purpose to help divine people. See, so we're trying to connect people with companies, with business, the word of God, and we're going off of biblical principles to teach people in the world what God is telling us and telling us to do, right, in the what his word of God, where it says pay our taxes, pay who we need to pay to the government, give authority to the government who's due, right? So all that kind of stuff plays into fact, you guys. So we will put at the end of this live in the comments, she'll go ahead and put her link. So if you want to connect with her on your taxes or your accounting or even your credit restoration, she'll set up a consultation with you. You can go ahead and schedule that through her link. And so I hope you guys got some valuable information. For all of you watching, if you got some valuable information, drop some 7s in the comments. For those of you that will come on later and watch the replay, if you got some valuable information, go ahead and drop 7s as well. If you're interested in being on my show, go ahead and give me a inbox and DM me, and we will get you guys connected. So thank you for joining this live session of Divine Connection with Kingdom Financial Group. And you guys, we just wish you the blessed evening. Thank you and have a great night. Bye-bye.